And hello, this is Ed Dyer, and you're watching the TWIS Minion Science Island Hangout. Uh, right now, it's just me. I've sent invites out to Pamela Taylor in Australia. Don't know if she'll be on. She's had connection problems the last couple of weeks. Later on, sometimes Justin pops in, usually at about the 1 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. I think that's around now, maybe 10 o'clock on the West Coast. Till then, you got me and bunches of science news. I also want to let you know that I live in the southernmost corner of New England. So I don't usually get the nasty stuff, the really nasty stuff that they get up in Maine and New Hampshire, Vermont, maybe over the lake effect snow in upper New York. And it's been a real mild start to the winter. But tonight, winter has come. we got winds up to 60 miles an hour in gust. Got wind chill down to about minus 20. Might have some snow showing up over the weekend. That's okay, because I am prepared. I got my battery charging devices. I can charge up all my devices for at least a couple of days, I think. I got my phone, my little light. This thing, well, when it works. Well, believe me, this puts out an awful lot of light in the darkness. Okay, now I'm going to put a little light into your science darkness. And the first thing I want to talk about is it's in the UK. It's a new power station, and they're using kind of a different kind of fuel. It's liquefied air. Had not heard of that before. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to give you the old screen share. That's what the plant looks like. Now, this is, as it says, UK-based high-view power storage using liquefied air as the energy storage medium. When the liquid air warms up, it expands. It can drive a turbine to make electricity. It's a cryogenic energy facility, stores power from renewables or off-peak generation. This is by chilling air into liquid form, where at minus 190 degrees Celsius, we're not going to get quite that cold here in Connecticut, the air condenses into a pale blue mobile liquid. When the liquid is stored in a specially insulated tank and later heated up, the air expands, boom. And this can power a turbine to generate electricity. Now, how does it work, you may ask? Well, first it's cleaned and dried. That's the air. Then it gets refrigerated. The air liquefies. The liquefied air is stored in isolated tanks at low pressure. When power is needed, liquid air is drawn from the tanks, pumped into high pressure, reheated and expanded. Resulting high pressure gas is used to drive turbine generators. Never knew this kind of energy was available. Air turns to liquid when refrigerated at 196 degrees Celsius and can be stored in a standard insulated but underpressurized vessel at very large scale. Exposure to ambient temperatures causes rapid regasification and a 700-fold expansion in volume, which is used to drive a turbine and create electricity. There you go. Liquefied air creating electricity. Okay. Other stuff I'm going to talk about. Neat little earthquake app. And I think this is really these kinds of things, the apps. There's all kinds, there's a bazillion apps right now for smartphones. And wouldn't it be neat if you live in San Francisco Maybe around Oklahoma, we're doing all the fracking. If you got your little earthquake app, and it can measure vibrations, minute vibrations, and the goal, the idea is obviously advanced warning. They've got another bunch of researchers have developed heart pacemaker cells, converting pluripotent stem cells and using them to create what they're called pacemaker cells, the cells that control the pace of the heartbeat. So another interesting advance in medical science is a peptide. It's called Q-peptide. And they make it into a gel. And what it can do is it can heal skin 200 times, twice as fast, actually, twice as fast as the best commercial products. So if you've got a gap in there, they really want to focus on diabetic folks like me because our skin doesn't heal that well. Particularly, it could be a real problem in our feet where some diabetics, they can't feel the skin on their feet. And when their cut starts, it can get easily infected. What this does, as I say, it heals a lot quicker than anything on the market. Has to be developed, and but hopefully it will. Couple of good news stories about species. One species of fish that has adapted to live in very toxic water. Another species, bald eagles, peregrine falcons, out in Washington, they're recovering. So because we're taking steps to make the environment they live in better for them, the population is expanding to the point where they are being taken off the endangered species list. We got a confirmation. We have our little dwarf planet series, and this is really further confirmation of the fact that there is a liquid ocean underneath the surface of the planet. And if we get to it, another interesting story about gene editing using CRISPR-Cas and the CRISPR enzyme, which can cut and paste and is used primarily right now to create mouse models, the perfect mouse models for medical research. Now researchers are using that technology for the RNA. And it's the RNA where the protein gets expressed. That's the part of the replication machine in our cells that gets hijacked by viruses. And so researchers now looking at the RNA section of the stem cell. That should be really useful. Okay, let me just check the chat room. We got a couple of people in the chat room. We got Rox, you see. Rox has shown up. And what I want to do is I want to let Rox know where she wants to watch it on the YouTubes. Sorry guys, link to YouTube. Link YouTube. Okay. And also, we got our friend UXFL, and he's listening. Got final exams tomorrow. So, I guess he's going to be listening and trying to get ready for his exams. I hope his exam is on science. Otherwise, I don't know. He's a young kid. He'll drink buckets of caffeine in the morning and he'll be good to go. Okay. What else we got? Okay. We got, let me talk about this earthquake app. Short story in Tree Hugger. and it's a commercial product. It has had some success at detecting earthquakes. They say 400 since February, and the key, of course, is advance warning. And reading from the article, in recent years, we've seen a few tech developments that aim to crowdsource earthquake detection and early warning systems. It's known that only a few seconds warning, enough time for someone to seek cover or stop using dangerous machinery, that would be useful, can have a life-saving effect. I've been in one serious earthquake, and that was in Okinawa, Japan. That knocked down a building. I was in a theater at the time. The only warning I got was some sawdust started falling on my head from the ceiling. The Okinawans, they knew what was going on. They panicked. They jumped up and down and ran for the exits, which is exactly what you're not supposed to do. I very calmly, absolutely very calmly, ran over, and I actually did. I stood under the archway. Theater was fine. All right. Researchers at the University of California, Berkeley developed MyShake, the MyShake app that was released in February of this year to take advantage of smartphones, sensors, and built-in instruments. The free Android app uses the phone's accelerometer? Yeah, that's what it says, accelerometer and GPS to measure the strength of vibrations and where they are being felt. Felt. Since its release, 220,000 people have downloaded the app, and at any given time, close to 10,000 of these are active and ready to detect motion. Turned on, laying on a horizontal surface and connected to Wi-Fi. Now, since February, 400 earthquakes have been detected in places like Chile, Japan, China, California, and the fracking fields of Oklahoma. Now, there's the movie that's going to see soon. The app measures ground motion, then sends the information to Berkeley Seismological Laboratory for analysis. Right now, the data is collected and used to show app users where recent earthquakes have occurred. But the goal is to start issuing alerts when initial movements are felt. The researchers say that data they've collected over the past few months has proven that phones are sensitive enough and there are enough users in earthquake-prone areas to detect these first vibrations. The app was able to detect the first seismic waves that arrive, P waves, which are less destructive, which could then give people enough time to issue warnings before they move on to the more dangerous S waves. We've already have the algorithm to detect the earthquakes running on our server, but we have to make sure it's accurate and stable before we start issuing warnings. The new version of the app was just released that does issue notifications of nearby earthquakes, but not early warnings. Well, they've got to go a ways to go. The app can detect an earthquake as small as 2.5 magnitude, where there is a good density of phones. The trial period, the greatest number of phones to detect the quake was 103, and that picked up the vibrations from a 5.2 magnitude earthquake that hit Barango Springs in California in June. The largest quake detected was 7.8 in Ecuador in April. The leader in the amount of earthquakes was, of course, Oklahoma. And as we know, well, not all of us know, well, the new administration coming into the U.S. doesn't know, fracking causes earthquakes. Yeah. All right. Shaken and stirred. I got a funny feeling we're going to see a lot more earthquakes in the future than we have, at least in the recent past. You really need, if you're operating heavy machinery, sure. I guess you have your little smartphone in here and it starts vibrating or something, and you stop the machinery. That's nice. But if you're talking about somebody in a building, somebody in a house or wherever, well, first they got to put it down. Well, I guess someone else can put it down. As soon as someone near you feels that vibration, they send out a notification to the network. To be effective, you probably need, I would say, 15, 20 minutes worth of warning, so that you can really take adequate steps, whatever that may be. And you really need to be able to tell how severe an earthquake is. If the 2.5, it's going to shake the house, it's not going to do a lot of damage. If it's a 7.5, man, you go down to that earthquake shelter or whatever. So hopefully I think we're going to see more and more of these kinds of devices and apps really going to help us. I think 10 years down the road, these apps, they're going to become actually essential. That we're going to be using them to monitor our health, so we know about a health problem as quickly as possible. You don't have to wait till you go to a doctor and they run tests, and a couple of weeks later the test comes back. You're going to have a device in your smartphone. You pee on a stick or take a little blood test or something, and boom, 15 minutes, if you got an infection or some kind of a potentially serious problem. So I think we're already seeing some advances, and I think we're really going to see some major advances 5 to 10 years down the road. Rock's multitasking, then studying. She's UXFL is studying medieval history. He's going to go medieval on us, I guess. Yeah, all right. Now let me check Facebook. I got a message from somebody. Let's see. Only just came through half an hour ago. Blah, blah, blah. Let's see. I'm not sure if she's going to come. I got to read the message from Pamela. See you soon. If you are still going, we just started. I got to tell my friend Pamela, we just got started. And got a couple of interesting stories for Pamela. Excuse me, got my old man one finger typing going on. Okay. I was watching a couple of podcasters, and they say, that's the thing where your brain stops. You don't want to say, and you have little catchphrases, whatever. I do a lot of and I'm afraid. All right. We got some researchers that are creating pacemaker cells. And it's in mice. I believe this is another mice study. But once again, 5-10 years down the road, where now you put in a pacemaker and you got to have a new operation, a new pacemaker put in maybe every 7 years. Now when this technology gets geared up, we're going to have permanent solutions, and we're not going to have to worry about having operations. They're going to be able to put these stem cell pacemaker cells to fix defective cells in the heart bracket. It's going to be a really amazing new brave world in healthcare, assuming everybody can afford it. I don't know. That's going to be a catch. At least in the US of A it is. Not in Pamela's Australia, where everybody gets free health care. Okay. Here we go. Pacemaker cells. There's a little picture. Let me enlarge that for you. Scientist from the McEwen Center for Regenerative Medicine have developed the first functional pacemaker cells from human stem cells, paving way for alternative biological pacemaker therapy. Sorry, I need something that will give me an electric shock every time I say I don't know. In any event, their findings detail how human pluripotent stem cells can be coaxed in 21 days to develop into pacemaker cells, which regulate heartbeats with electric impulses. These human pacemaker cells were tested on rat hearts, where they were shown to function as a biological pacemaker by activating the electronic impulses that trigger the contractions in the heart. Now, something called sinoatrial node pacemaker cells are the heart's primary pacemaker. Defects in pacemaker can lead to heart rhythm disorders that are commonly treated by implementation of electronic pacemaker devices. Biological pacemakers represent a promising alternative to electronic pacemakers, overcoming such drawbacks as a lack of hormonal responsiveness and the inability to adapt to changes in heart size for pediatric patients. What we are doing is human biology in a petri dish. And this is Dr. Gordon Keller, director of the McEwen Center. Based on previous findings in animal models, the researchers tested and mapped out specific development pathway of how human pluripotent stem cells become pacemaker cells. This was achieved by testing different signaling molecules at different times throughout the 21 days to guide the cells toward their goal. Once the team established which signaling pathways are activated at different stages to generate the pacemaker cells, they demonstrated that the new pacemaker cells could initiate and regulate the heart in rats, or probably lawyers. The researchers noted that human clinical trials to test such biological pacemakers are 5 to 10 years away, and that the next step is to launch safety and reliability pre-clinical trials on the pacemaker cells. Meanwhile, researchers can use their new technology to make pacemaker cells from patients suffering from pacemaker dysfunction. They can then use these patient-specific cells to study the disease in a petri dish and to identify new drugs that will improve their pacemaker function. Long term, the team hopes to develop biological pacemakers to transplant into patients who need an electronic one. More than 10,000 electronic pacemakers are implanted annually in Canada, just Canada alone, with more than 120,000 patients living there, and that's just in Canada. They can last anywhere from 5 to 10 years. On the average is 7 years, but you really need something like these biological pacemakers to solve problems of the heart. And there we have Pamela, who certainly knows a lot about problems of the heart, probably. Sorry. And there she is.
Hello.
Chelsey. Hello, Chelsey.
So you have quite cold weather there at the moment, don't you?
Oh, yes. We got like up to wind gust of up to 60 miles per hour. We got wind chill is 20, minus 20. Although it's going to heat up tomorrow. It might get all the way up to 5. Got to have a little snowfall coming over the weekend, but it's only a couple of inches. So it's really nothing like, like the New England, the real New Englanders up in Maine and places like that are getting. So I don't think. How does you last time I saw you was maybe a week or two ago. You were getting ready for a cyclone or something?
No, they've just predicted floods this summer, but we've had some heavy rain, but no, nothing flood-like yet. But I don't know. Our cyclone season is basically November to May, so there's still plenty of time. So I'm just flood-proofing my belongings so that if I do get flooded, my stuff doesn't get ruined.
Oh, you were the last time we talked. You were getting ready. You're getting your I don't know what the heck it was. Actually, one of the things you were looking for is a smartphone. Now I am prepared for when we lose power. I don't know if you've got these are battery chargers, and each one of these suckers can power up a cell phone 5 times and an iPad 1.2 times.
Okay. Yeah, I've got a power thing like that as well. I mean, not that she's playing with dinosaurs. Not that powerful. But yeah, I've got a smartphone, and that's my case. But see, it wouldn't. Last week when I was trying to connect, it wouldn't go on the continue button through the case. So I actually have to undo the case to hang up a phone call, not to make a phone call, just to hang it up for some reason, and to press continue to get to a Hangout. They're the two things that I found don't work through the case for some reason. I don't know why. But it's a TARDIS. They can be
cool. Very cool. Now, you've been to the Outback, so if you need light, you just probably throw some wood on the fire. I have got another neat little device here. This throws out an amazing amount of light for about a day. So I am ready for that.
I don't have one of these, but I want one. And they're not that expensive. It's just on my to-do list, to get list. But you can get a USB charger, like so you plug your devices in and charge them by USB, but it's powered by fire. So you throw wood on the fire, you can cook on this side, and you can power your devices over here. Just want to make sure you don't get things splashing and burning. But yeah, so that would be good next time I'm out there.
Wow, you can use wood fire from wood to power your smartphone.
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah.
Back in World War II, where you had a lot of problems getting fuel, I know in Germany, and I'm not sure where else, they used actually wood-powered steam on their cars. Put some kind of a big adapter thing, and I don't know if it was dust or whatever, and they would use that in place of gasoline. So, All right. I got a story here. Now, we've talked a lot about the benefits of breastfeeding. Let me see that. I got my special Pamela stories. This is one of my special Pamela stories.
Well, one of my New Year's resolutions is to not breastfeed anymore. I'm done. So she'll be nearly 2 years and 9 months by New Year's Eve. That's no more boobies. That's it. So we're down to like once every couple of days for a couple of minutes at the moment, just because I'm in pain while it's going down. But that's way more than recommended even by the World Health Organization. No way. So New Year's resolution, no more breastfeeding. Done.
Hey, okay.
And then do you understand? And my other New Year's resolution is to take up archery again, because I figure that will put my boobs back up where they used to be by building my pecs up. So they go together, you see.
Were you ever you did the archery before?
When I was a kid, before I had boobs. So yeah, and now they're all saggy from 2 years and 8 months of breastfeeding. So did the archery.
I never, outside of just, playing around. But when I was, I don't know, 9, 10, 11, 12, I spent summers with my grandfather in Maine, and there were people who went bow hunting for deer. And I was amazed at how powerful it can. You can go hunting with bows. Well, obviously you do it. The indigenous people in Australia had to go bow hunting. Amazing.
I mean, I'm only using targets because I'm vegetarian, but yeah.
Well, I'll tell you what, sometimes those eggplants can get pretty tricky to hit with a bow. So,
Yeah.
ah,
Yeah. I could make kebabs now. But no, it's a good skill to have, and it's a good exercise in one. So
hand-eye coordination.
that's right. That's right.
All right. Now, there's been plenty of stories about the benefits of breastfeeding. And, I mean, everyone recommends it. All the, healthcare professionals, no question about it at this point. An interesting thing, however, is these researchers, they've found a virus, HTLV1. And this is just, the first time they've looked at it and asked some questions about it. But they think the way it works is it will infect a woman. It will be in a woman, but it'll be dormant. And it uses, when a woman breastfeeds, it won't affect the woman, but it gets into the child and causes an illness in the child. So and again, this is just, taking a first look at this. It's kind of interesting. All right. At least one kind, I want a screen share. Don't want to be blinding anybody with I have to look at my bald head. All right. There we go. There's the old nasty virus there. At least one kind of virus has become less lethal when targeting a woman to ensure that she does not die before it can infect her offspring. For years, scientists assumed that the HTLV1 virus, which can cause leukemia, among other illnesses, was more deadly for men because women had a stronger immune system, at least for that particular bug. But new evidence published in Nature Communication shows that the virus has adapted through evolution to take advantage of an opportunity that males cannot offer. The reason why these illnesses are less virulent in women is that the virus wants to be passed from mother to child. This is Vincent Jensen at the University of London. This can happen, he added, either at birth or during breastfeeding. Exactly how viruses can detect and adjust to the gender of the host remains unknown. But this is using mathematical models. They showed what they say is no other explanation is nearly as plausible. Now, what they did is they compared HTLV1 in Japan and the Caribbean. In Japan, they found the virus was 3 times more likely to graduate to deadly adult T-cell leukemia in men than in women. In the Caribbean, however, the chances of virus mutation in its lethal form was roughly equal by both sexes. They didn't do any testing, as far as I can see here, in children. The reason I should say modeling in children. The reason they surmised was a difference in how infants are reared. Breastfeeding, one of the ways viruses can be passed from mother to infant, is more common and prolonged in Japan, prompting the virus to become less lethal in women. In the Caribbean, just the opposite is true. And they find that it's almost equally a problem in the two sexes. Now, this is really far from proven. but it's interesting. It means that I would say it would depend, one, where does the virus originate? And do people have a predisposition to the virus? And is there a test that you can take, I don't know, blood test, a urine test or something, that can tell you you have that particular virus? Would certainly be a good thing, for instance, for a woman when she's pregnant. You know, all kinds of testing for viruses and things. That could be a good thing to add if this connection is actually proven. And will other be, it's a pretty interesting adaptation. Go ahead.
I was just going to say that, so on the visual that you had up, it had HIV over to the right. So what's that got to do with it?
That's probably one of the other diseases that this virus leads to. It said leukemia, but there were other illnesses. So HIV might be one of them. Might be some form of the HIV virus. I don't know.
But how? That's sexually transmitted. That's turns into AIDS. So how? What's that got to do with it? You're muted.
Let me go back.
Because I hope they're not trying to scare people into using formula for the monetary. What's that? Or don't breastfeed your child. You give them AIDS. Like what rubbish.
All right, I'm going to read the heading on that particular picture. This image revealed the presence of both human T-cell leukemia type 1 virus, also known as human T lymphatic virus type 1, and the human and HIV. Human T-cell leukemia virus is a human non-cordovirus. It's the etiological agent of adult T-cell leukemia and of typically spastic pepperinus or something or other associated myopathy. So it's closely related. They're not the same thing, but they are closely related. And I guess what they're saying is HTLV and HIV-1. Identified as causing AIDS in different regions. Now, let's see. Why are they making this association with HIV-1 and 2? I'm not really sure. They're two different forms of viruses, two different kinds of viruses. So I don't know, other than saying that they're similar and they operate in a similar way. In reading that caption, I don't see where it's saying that HIV is transmitted in the way that its HTLV1 virus is.
Sorry, just doing a quick Google search.
I would say, one, if in fact that connection is correct, that this HTLV can be transmitted through mother to child, then you got to look at, they're talking about probably adults. Maybe it stays dormant. Maybe if you've got an individual who is who can be more prone to HIV, maybe they're also likely to be more prone to HTLV. I don't really know. Not a lot of details here.
No, that's right. I've just gone to, good old Wikipedia. Not that it's the be-all and end-all, of course, but it gives you a bit of background information. So just a quick scan. So they're both retroviruses. The original name for HIV, the virus that causes AIDS, was HTLV3. And we're talking about HTLV1. Its genome is diploid, composed of two copies of a single-stranded RNA virus whose genome is copied into a double-stranded DNA form that integrates into the host cell genome, at which point the virus is referred to as a provirus, closely related to bovine leukemia virus. So it's a retrovirus that causes cancer. But yeah, it's not HIV. So I didn't know that. So HIV is actually HTLV3, and we're looking at HTLV1. And there's a HTLV2 as well, but doesn't really talk about that.
So they're similar. There's similar types of viruses that cause different types of illnesses.
But so it causes cancer, but it's not causing AIDS, acquired immune deficiency syndrome. So, yeah, people don't need to worry about giving your child AIDS through your breast milk. It's nothing to do with that at all. But just that visual, I was, what the heck are they talking about there? It just, yeah, it's a bit misleading, I think. It's not a good visual for them to have used.
Yeah. I mean, I would hate to see you've got a person who's got both viruses in their system. That'd be really bad.
Well, could you even get pregnant if you've got that much going on? I mean, your body, your body's not supposed to let you do things like that when you're really ill. You're supposed to be healthy.
Yeah, I don't know. Even, I mean, HIV really wrecks your immune system anyway. So it's got to be a real problem for any woman who's pregnant with HIV, I would think.
Well, that's the thing. No one dies of AIDS. You die of what you catch while you have AIDS. Mm-hmm. So it takes away your immune system, but it doesn't kill you. It just means that you don't have any immunity. So you die from whatever you catch that you would not have caught otherwise. So a common cold can kill you while you have AIDS, but AIDS doesn't kill you. But so this is causing a cancer. And I mean, AIDS can, give you cancer because your immune system's down and compromised. Sorry, I'm a bit distracted.
That's right.
Yeah, okay, that's all right. I'm just wondering who funded this study. I'm hoping it's not, like Nestle or something. No, seriously, because it's like, oh, give your child formula in case you have this virus.
Now this is an academic study, so I don't know. I can find out if I go on to. Let's see.
I'm cynical about anything that is negative towards breastfeeding because breastfeeding is free.
Let me see. I'm going to go to Science
make any
Island.
Money.
Actually, let's see. I don't know if it'll get. They'll give me a link to the original story site. This is not well because it's not on. Here's the. Evolution of specs. Now the original study, the abstract says. Let me screen. In fact, let me put a link to the actual abstract. I have no idea if either one of us can understand it, and I think it's just simply a case of it's similar. Okay, because it says the evolution of sex-specific virulence in infectious diseases. So that means something is more or less prevalent in one sex as opposed to the other. Long-standing progression in human T cell, the HIV-1. There's no mention of HIV-2. Blah, blah, blah. Infection of tubular basilicus may progress to active tuberculosis with a high probability causing death. So this looks like pretty nasty. Men were 1.5 times more likely to die than infected women. Oral infection, HPV, may progress to tonsil cancer, which is lethal. This first part is talking simply about the fact that certain of these viruses are more likely to kill a man than a woman. Infection with HTLV1 may progress to leukemia. And you know what? It might be a case of the HTLV1 might progress, possibly evolve into HIV. Maybe it's something like that. I don't know.
No. They're two different retroviruses. Three different retroviruses. 1, 2, and 3. It doesn't turn into HIV. No. They're just. It's just that they're retroviruses. But
And you know, the thing you were talking about, which is how cancers don't kill you in themselves, they destroy your immune system, and you die from that. And what? Let me rephrase that. People going into the hospital, they get the chemotherapy, etc. It wipes out their immune system, and they don't die from the cancer. They die from pneumonia more often than not.
Yeah, if the chemotherapy, you can still die from cancer, definitely. But if the chemotherapy works and gets rid of the cancer, then if you don't get your immune system back up for, very quickly, then you die from pneumonia. That's what happened to my mother. On her death certificate, it says she died from pneumonia because she had non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, and the chemotherapy had worked, but then she died. But no, you can still definitely die from cancer if you don't get treatment. If you don't get treatment. I
don't think your odds of dying from stage 1 cancer that is localized at this point are probably much small. Most stage 1 cancers, as I understand it, can be treated. It's when they progress to stage 2 or 3 and spread out through your system.
No, stage 5 is when they come and tell you there's nothing more we can do. But no, you don't. No, you don't die from 0. You either die from it going to stage 5 and there's nothing more they can do, or you die from the treatment. The treatment kills you.
Yeah.
So you don't die from stage 0, 1, 2, 3, or 4. Definitely not. No. And this virus does not turn into HIV. You're not going to give your baby AIDS if you breastfeed them. You could give them leukemia, but that's more treatable.
And the study really, as I say, this is just the first step, because they drew their conclusion from looking at 2 populations, Japanese people and Caribbean people. That in itself is, you're just guessing. It's an association, but it's something to look, to delve into a lot more deeply. And I think it also, when we get to the point where we can treat cancers more naturally using our own body's immune system, either our immune response or possibly even the gut microbiome. And so we're not killing our immune system. We're now seeing treatments, I know certainly at least mice, where they're using the immune system itself to kill the cancer virus. And when you get to that stage, cancer becomes very, very treatable disease. So Chelsea's not going to have to worry about cancer.
No, well, I've stored her stem cells anyway from the umbilical cord and the placenta, so she should be fine for anything. She shouldn't even have to worry if she breaks her back. She should be right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right.
But that's the ironic thing, I am a nurse, and I've stored her stem cells, and I've done all the absolute safety blah 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 stuff as a mum. So she's got the most prepared mum possible, and she never gets sick and never hurts herself.
Yeah, I know. You seem to be pretty healthy. I mean, as I recall, you've never had any kind of dental disease. You don't floss or do any of that kind of nonsense. I brush and floss 3 times a day. Now, I'm the only one in my family who hasn't had to have a whole plate by the time I was 50. But I have lost three teeth. And yet I'm doing all this blushing, flushing, flossing, and everything else, and I'm spending buckets of money going to the dentist. You don't have to do anything. You got the good genes.
I've got extra teeth. Look. I've
Freak.
got extra teeth. And my dad had
Wow.
that too. And he never went to the dentist or anything. He didn't need to either. So I've got my dad's teeth, but my mum had terrible teeth, and both of my brothers have mum's teeth, but I've got dad's teeth.
That's
so yeah,
good.
so that's like, so I've got extra teeth. So if I lose teeth, I can actually use my own teeth. But I've been in, you know, fights and stuff when I was younger as a lass, but never lost any, chipped anything, nothing. I use my teeth, you know, to open things and everything, never chipped them. I don't know. No, but I get sick. I still get sick. Like I had an ear thing a couple of months ago that basically made me lay down for a week. I couldn't, because I was off balance and everything. No, but I mean, Chelsey just doesn't get anything. I had pneumonia when she was 4 months old. She doesn't get anything at all. It's just funny that I'm fully prepared, and it's completely wasted. She doesn't really need me for anything.
All right, this is a couple of weeks ago, I talked about how for the first time in over 20 years, the life expectancy rate in the United States actually went down. It had been going up for over 20 years, and now all of a sudden, 1 year, it actually went down a little. There was speculation as to what caused it. And this is kind of confirmation of one of the ideas. And that is, it's really hard to believe, but there's growing body of evidence that it's drug addiction, alcoholism, and mental problems leading to suicide. I mean, that's mind-boggling to me. And I will screen. No, actually, I don't think you've. Yeah, I did. Yeah, it's in the chat area. U.S. death rates, drugs, and alcohol, so you can look at it. But I want to screen share it with everyone. Yeah, come on. My button clicking's not so good today. Okay. There you go. Now it says more than 200 U.S. counties witnessed increases of 200% or more than double in deaths related to substance abuse and mental disorders since 1980. That's 30-year period, including clusters of counties in Kentucky, West Virginia, and Ohio, with surges of sometimes 1,000%. It's 10 times, according to this new study in the Institute of Health Metrics and Evaluation. They looked at 21 cause groups ranging from chronic illness like diabetes and other endocrine diseases to infectious diseases such as HIV and AIDS, tuberculosis, accidents, traffic fatalities, etc. And they analyzed these mortality rates. A study was conducted by the Institute of Health Metrics and Evaluation. Cardiovascular disease was the leading cause of death overall in the United States, but cancers were responsible for more losses of life in early death. Still, the rate at which Americans die from cancer and other diseases differs significantly among counties, highlighting stark health disparities across the nation. For instance, the counties with the highest and lowest mortality rates from cirrhosis and other liver diseases were both in South Dakota. One state, 193 deaths per 100,000 people in Ogallala, Lakota County, and 7 deaths per 100,000 people in Lincoln County. While the leading causes of death are similar across the country, we found massive disparities in the rates at which people are dying among causes and communities. For causes of death with effective treatments, inequalities in mortality rates spotlight areas where access to essential health care is badly needed. let's see, about half of the U.S. counties saw, that's in the United States, half of the counties in the United States saw increases in suicide and violence, while the other half of the counties experienced decreases. So that's showing up, tremendous disparity. Let's see, something called the Closvac census area in Alaska had a 131% mortality rate increase, while the rate in New York County, New York, dropped 72%, the most dramatic decrease in the country. Wow, 72% drop in mortality in one county. Mortality rates from substance abuse, including alcohol and drug use, and mental health disorders are highly variable as well. The greatest increases in Claremont County, Ohio, over 2.206%, 2,206%, and Boone County, West Virginia, 2,030%, and the largest drops in the Aleutian East Borough, Aleutian West Census area in Alaska. That's interesting, Alaska. And Miami-Dade County in Florida, declining 51 and 45%. That's two completely different kinds of places, Alaska and Florida. The mortality trends in mental and substance use disorders, as well as with other causes of death covered in the study, point to the need for a well-considered response from local and state governments, as well as care providers. Other county trends in the study included chronic respiratory disease in a group that includes COPD and asthma. So the most dramatic increase in a band of counties spanning northern Texas to the Carolinas. Concurrently, a small number of counties along the Mexican border in New Mexico and central Colorado experienced decreases. And that's strange, because that's two areas that aren't that far apart. The national mortality rate from traffic accidents decreased 45% between 1980 and 2014. I'm going to jump ahead a little bit. Okay. Now, this is they had a list here. I'll jump down to, let's see. List, there we go. Below are the 10 counties with the largest increases in mortality, and this is from cancers, in the 30-year period, 1980 to 2014. So in Swallow County in Kentucky, you got 1, 2, 3. The first 4 counties listed are in Kentucky, 38% to 46% increase in mortality rates from cancer. Wow. I mean, I'm thinking, cancer mortality rates from cancer would be decreasing everywhere. But here's 4 counties in Kentucky where it significantly increased over that period. Mississippi has got that's the poorest state in the whole union, just about. And maybe these counties in Kentucky, that could be Appalachia, that could be, where there's a lot of poverty. Texas, Anderson County, Texas, don't know anything about it, 35%. Union County, Florida, 33%. The Carolinas, 32%. And then 2 more counties in Kentucky. Wow. Healthcare in Kentucky really sucks, it looks like. That's amazing. That's 1, 2, 3, 4. That's 6 out of the top 10 counties in the country that showed an increase in cancer mortality rates from one state. Now you look at the decreases in mortality. Go ahead.
Can I just something that's just coming to my mind? Is there a correlation between how religious these areas are and wondering if they're relying on prayer instead of going to the doctor?
I kind of doubt that.
Okay.
Because you have, for instance, take Utah. Utah's got a very good healthcare system. And Utah's, I don't know, 75, 80% Mormon, who are very religious people. You have religious people just about. In fact, I don't know that there's any county in the United States where the majority of people are atheist. Maybe San Francisco and, maybe, Northern California or maybe some places. But I'm going to guess the vast majority of counties in the U.S. are very religious. And I can think of, I've got one friend on Facebook who has a rare form of cancer. She's very religious. I mean, she posts on cancer asking for people to pray for her, but she also goes to a clinic. She's going to an advanced, I think maybe the Cleveland Clinic or something. So religious faith, I don't believe is a factor. I'm guessing that it's poverty. Poverty being the biggest driver, and not just poverty, but perhaps areas where you don't have access to health care. And there, I'm going to generalize, there you might see a combination of poverty, republicanism, where they don't support on a state level healthcare in the same way as in other states like California, but I really don't know if that's true. But certainly poverty. I would say poverty is the biggest factor. But then you go and you look at where it's decreased. And the one that amazes me is Alaska. The Aleutians West Census area in Alaska. What the heck? I'm gonna do a.
Ed, I don't know if you've noticed because you were screen sharing, but Justin's joined us and he looks a bit confused.
Okay, why are you confused, Justin?
And happy birthday! You've had a birthday since I last saw you.
Yeah, you're late.
I sent Chelsey a happy birthday on Facebook.
I'm just kidding.
Okay, Justin, why are you confused?
No, we're talking.
No, I'm not, I don't know that I'm confused. I just
the story
okay,
is that first time in 20.
Excuse me, Justin, you got robot voice.
Oh.
Okay. I'm gonna. Oh. Yeah, all right. I'm gonna go away and come right back.
Okay.
Okay.
That usually
So we'll
solves
tell him when he comes back.
Okay. I don't know if you have anything like that kind of disparity between different sections of Australia. But I mean, the United States, you're going to see all the worst healthcare, and the poverty-stricken areas are the Appalachians in West Virginia, Kentucky, where, man, I didn't realize parts of Kentucky were so bad, and also in Louisiana, Mississippi. Go ahead.
I mean, you can't compare US to Australia. One, we have universal health care, so it doesn't matter how poor you are, everyone gets the same treatment. And two, we only have like 24 million people. So, yeah, that's like LA and New York or whatever. So yeah, you can't compare. You've got a lot more people. So of course you're going to have a lot more variance, and you don't have universal health care.
Yeah.
So Justin, the story we're talking about at the moment is that for the first time in 20 years, Ed? Just over 20 years, your death rate, so your life expectancy has gone down.
In the US.
Oh, it's about time.
Yeah.
Because real estate prices have been ridiculously high, sustained by these, long-lived people that just refuse to, like, I don't know, like, how much is it down? Is it down 10%? Because if it's down like 1 or 2%, I don't care. I think that's just statistical anomaly. That's statistical data collecting. We just are collecting better data now than we did 20 years ago. And now that's just the right number, and it was wrong before. And maybe back before they wanted to keep, you had somebody who was like, here's our data, but we would like to show that things are getting better. So we're going to leave out these areas where the life expectancy went down. And like, it's data.
Okay, here are some numbers. First of all, you're talking about, this is deaths from cancer, right? Oldsleeville County, Kentucky, a 46% increase in deaths from cancer between 1980 and 2014. 46%. We've got, and on this list, it gives 10. 6 of the top 10 counties in Kentucky have increases in death rate from cancer from 29% to 46%.
Okay, so here's the drill down that's missing that I would have to be able to say I think I know why. The thing I need to know why is what kind of cancer. If it's lung cancer, I would almost go, okay, when did we have a huge wave of deregulation? Oh, 1980. Okay, what's the chief industry in Kentucky? Coal mining. Okay, like I want the drill down. I mean, I need more. There has to be a whole lot more information before you can't just say the number went up and that's it. Also, what was Kentucky like in 1980? Like, how much health care was there for people? When people got cancer, they got the vapors. They went to the local witch doctor in 1980 in Kentucky. I mean, I don't mean to like make too much of a stereotypical like what Kentucky's like because I've never been through there, but I'm pretty sure that's kind of what it is too. It's like one of those things when they say like, well, look at the rates of autism have increased so much in the recent years. Yeah, but we also like started school programs where teachers could identify autistic or hyperactive kids. And, you know, like when they used to be that you would just call the kids handicapped, mentally challenged. Now we have a label that's a little bit more specific to it being autism, right? That, like, these are the sorts of things that when you're doing a last 25-year study, 30-year study, 35-year study, also know that you have changed the way you view the things that you're looking at in that time period. So it's almost irrelevant what the statistics were for kids with autism, what people in rural areas cancer rates were 35 years ago when they didn't have access to healthcare, or we didn't have the label autism that was in the public domain, right? So that's the cautionary aspect of this. The other aspect of it is why? Why is this happening? How could it be up so high? And that's why I think if you look at areas that I would say already had a level of modernity to them, something like you mentioned Los Angeles. I didn't see whether Los Angeles rates are going up or down up there.
I mentioned it because I was just saying, Ed was saying, I don't know if you have this kind of thing happening in Australia. And I said, well, you can't compare because we only have 24 million people, which is the population of LA, right?
Well, it's a little bigger than the LA County, but still, I mean, I would want to look at population centers that maybe, you know, if we're talking about the U.S., I mean, is there a regional problem? Is there a giant gas bubble of methane that's or radon or whatever it is that erupting underneath Kentucky? Maybe that's why it's up 50%. But more likely than not, you're dealing with the data collection being new and different in Kentucky than it was before. Because, you know, like what's the statistic in there for coal lung, right? For coal dust lung. That's something people click for. No, now it's called cancer. It's called lung cancer and tuberculosis, right? Like that. People looked at their health issues are different.
Yeah, you're not just talking about coal country. Now in Kentucky, I could see that. But number 5 is Madison County, Mississippi. 36% increase in mortality rates from cancer. Anderson, Texas, got a 35% increase. Union County, Florida, 33%. Melbourne County, South Carolina, 32%.
Take Florida off of every statistic in mortality. Maybe like it could be a retirement community that they built in the last 35 years that now houses 20,000 seniors. You're going to have a higher mortality rate in that county than you used to have.
The one common denominator, a common denominator, or an association, I should say, would be dramatic increases from mental illness, cirrhosis of the liver, diseases caused by alcohol, drugs.
Yeah.
So it was kind of halfway the increases being associated for the illnesses associated with suicide and cirrhosis of the liver, substance abuse, and the lung problems that you mentioned. So it's kind of both areas.
I was going to say too, obesity, it gives you a better chance of getting cancer. Is that a particularly fat area of the US? Because there isn't a not particular. It's just where we've been going. But the other thing too is like, okay, I would also look at something like the demographic of the population. So I hear that coal mining has been on a decline in recent years, right? Does that mean that the young people in Kentucky are leaving Kentucky to go seek employment in other industries or leave? Like, what's the exodus population like? Because it's sort of like there was some town that was profiled in oh gosh, I don't even know where it's from. This is totally bad. I'm maybe making this up, but it was like this. Either a Greek. I think it was a Greek. Yeah, it was a Greek. No, it was a Greek town my mother visited. That's what it was. She went to this little Greek town and noticed there were no young people at all. It was an all aging population. And what had happened was the economy had absolutely collapsed in this town to where the city itself, the town itself, didn't have an economy. There were no jobs. There was no income. So all of the young people had left. So I bet you if you looked at the mortality rate in that town, it was probably also higher than it was when there was lots of 20-year-olds running around. That's so these statistics, there's too much vagueness or too much information left out. It's fuzzy.
Okay, this is
so I don't necessarily buy it.
From the original study I went back to, and the heading specifically says American death rate from drugs, alcohol, and mental disorders nearly triple since 1980. So,
in everywhere?
That's across the country, U.S.
Okay.
Now, obviously, they point out it changes from one region to the other. It says 2,000 U.S. counties witnessed increases of over 200% in more deaths related to substance abuse. So it was kind of half the counties in the United States was either even or down, and the other half of the counties, it was increasing, and it increased the most in Kentucky, West Virginia, and Ohio, with alarming surges of over 1,000% increase. And that's drugs, alcohol, and mental disorders.
Huh.
And, well, I mean, just you rarely see Democrats and Republicans getting together and agreeing on something in Congress. But you remember was it last week? They got together and they agreed on passing a bill on, it was mental health problems. I don't know how much money they gave to it, but it was bipartisan, because even the Democrats and the Republicans recognize there's an epidemic here when it comes to abuse, death through abuse, etc.
So more people are dying from drugs today than in the height of the cocaine usage in America?
Yeah, that's what it says. In certain counties. Well, half the county saw an increase.
Yeah, but
okay, so they're just better connected.
no, but I mean, some of the drugs, like ice and that's far worse than cocaine. I've never tried any, but as from what I understand, cocaine on its own isn't that bad. It's when people start mixing it that
it's all. Yeah, I don't know if I would say it's not that bad, but I mean, when you're getting, I think it's, and again, I came in the middle of the story. Is this talking about basically the subscription or pharmaceutical drugs that people are getting addicted to?
No, it's basically across the board.
because more people are on pharmaceutical, legal drugs than illegal, and more people die from legal drugs, don't they?
Yeah, but don't forget, if you have the money, if you're Keith Richards, you can afford your heroin supply. You can get the guest quality, and you can be, you can live to your 65. Big deal, if you've got the money. But I think and you're healthy otherwise. My guess is you have that drug and alcohol problem, you have poverty, and you have people in ill health to begin with. They're not in good health, they're in health, and they're taking drugs and drinking alcohol, and the suicide kicks in and everything else. So I see the association between really poverty, a lack of access to good medical health care, and I think that's the big thing. It's a lack of access to good health care and poverty. I'm guessing that's the two biggest factors.
So if you're already sorry, I was going to say, because you don't have universal health care there. If you're already sick, I mean, are people taking heroin for pain relief because it's cheaper? I don't know. Is that what's happening over there? That's pretty scary.
Yeah, there's self-medication stuff that goes on, but I feel like I can't have to keep. I mean, when you're talking across the board, like if you were telling me there was a spike in just one area, right? I'd be like, okay, something might be going on. The fact that the spike is across all areas, and I would also want to know, this is another bit of the missing data maybe, is the percentage of the population that is committing suicide or having these, substance abuse issues or mental health issues. Is this outside of the norm of the rest of the country? If these counties who are rural and probably didn't have very good reporting are up 200% over 35 years, is that getting them into what the normal rates of mental illness and suicide are? I mean, as normal as this is, right? Because this exists. Or is this something that is like stratospherically different than what the rest of the country experiences? And I mean, without that 200% number sounds incredibly like there's a crisis that we need to focus in on this one area. But if it's actually per capita less than you might see in other parts of the country or the average for the country, then it's not a crisis. It's just reporting that's taking place in the 35 years. And I don't know.
It obviously varies, and it varies greatly. So here's the worst performers, if you will. Mortality rates from substance abuse, including alcohol, drug use, and mental disorders, highly variable. Greatest increases in Claremont County, Ohio, 2,206% increase, and Boone County, West Virginia, 2,030% increase. The largest drops, and this is even weirder, the largest drops are in the Aleutian East Borough, Aleutian West Census Area, Alaska, and Miami-Dade County. So you have Miami-Dade County and the Aleutian Islands in Alaska both dropping, one 51% and the other 45%.
So, first of all, the Aleutian census area, I don't know, what were we talking? 50 people? I have no idea. But I would take, if you're going to take a data point, that's probably one that you're like, if it's an outlier,
with global
out of the final data.
With global warming, there's going to probably be two people left. One of them dies, and it's a 50% increase.
Miami-Dade is a crazy county. This is where I believe Miami-Dade is where the hanging chads took place. I believe Miami-Dade is the Stand Your Ground Zimmerman case. Miami-Dade is a bizarre place. I think that is the work of the devil. People pledging themselves to Satan for eternal life, and that's why the mortality rate is lower. I think there's something amiss in Dade County. There's always bizarre news coming from that place. Like a Florida news in general is weird, but then There's a lot of extra weird that comes from Dade County.
Yeah.
That's my take on it. It's the devil's work.
Well, like I say, what about Utah? The Mormons. Nobody more religious than the Mormons.
I bet you they're steady Eddie. They didn't drop or rise. They're just doing what they do.
They have pretty good healthcare system though in Utah. Hey, probably the Mormons probably have very good healthcare within their own religious groups. So.
Yeah,
and they're rich. They got money.
Well, yeah.
Okay, I got another story here. This is about. Let me find it. Don't panic here, Ed. It's about a energy company in the United Kingdom, and they're using a fuel source I'd never heard about, and they're using frozen air for energy. And that's not the one I want. Okay, button clicking, Ed. Click on the right button there. Okay. And now I'm going to attempt to screen share. Gonna screen share. And there you go. It's liquefied air as an energy storage medium. And this is where this cold or cryogenic energy storage promises to be revolutionary, they claim, and also aid the environment at the same time through recycling materials. The cryogenic energy facility stores power from renewables and off-peak generation. They do it by chilling air into liquid form at minus 90 degrees Celsius. The air condenses into a pale blue mobile liquid. When the liquid is stored in a special tank and later heated, the air expands, and this can power a turbine to generate electricity. Not heard that before. After having built and tested a successful pilot plant, this Highview and project partner Verdor awarded government funding by the Department of whatever. Okay. First, they clean and dry the air. Then they refrigerate it. The air liquefies. The liquefied air is stored in insulated tanks at low pressure. When the power is needed, liquid air is drawn from the tanks, pumped to high pressure, reheated and expanded. Resulting high pressure gas is used to drive these turbines. Wow. Liquid air.
How much? Like it. You don't like it. How much energy is required to freeze the air so that you can get energy from it?
You know what? It don't say. And that's the exact thing I thought about. So
Yeah.
they're building the plant. You have to look at how much energy does it take to build a plant. And I don't imagine it would take a lot of energy. Well, you're talking cooling air to 190 degrees Celsius. How much energy does it take to cool air to 190 degrees Celsius?
Do you mean
minus?
Negative 90? Yeah.
What's this?
Yeah, I don't think there's anywhere on the planet that's naturally negative 90. I think that negative 50 is about as cold as it gets. Is that right? I'd have to look it up.
Yeah, minus 190 degrees.
Minus 190. I thought it was 90.
No, minus 190.
190, yeah.
Yeah, for it to turn liquid, my gosh, it's.
And the interesting thing to me was the method they used, and my question was the exact one you had, Pamela. How much energy are they using up just to create this particular fuel?
because it's got to be efficient. If it's not, then it just seems silly.
Yeah, we've been running this power plant with 3 other coal-burning power plants. But the power plant we're running off of those coal power plants burns no fuel at all. Yeah, that would be not making sense.
Oh yeah, that a lot of this stuff. Like I think we talked about the carbon tax deal, and there's so many different. These companies, they advertise new, improved, terrific thing, and they don't tell you, where they're getting their resource material from and all the energy and all the rest of the stuff. So I'm kind of skeptical about that. But, the United Kingdom is pumping money. I think it said $10 million to build a plant. So
no, it's fantastic. I hope it works. I hope they're successful.
Another place that's trying to come up with some innovative energy fuels, Australia. Who knew? And you're not talking about a bunch of Aborigines just building fires out. No. This is real. This is real advanced.
Easy, Ed. Easy.
Okay. Gonna screen share.
Are they digging a big hole and trying to get?
Yeah. They're using tires. That's been a big source. Okay. It says here, and this is in my friend the Christian Science Monitor, or this is the Guardian, British Guardian. Okay, in a world of dwindling resources, waste is one thing in no danger of running out. Each Australian generates more than 2,000 kilograms of waste per year. What, Pamela? 2,000 kilograms of waste? Come on.
I don't think I pooped that much.
What's this?
Or is it including pee as well?
Well, I think is it including
bunch
also
of
like
tires? I can see that.
Yeah, it's just garbage waste, like not your own personal waste.
I was gonna say.
That'd be a lot. Yeah.
I've never measured it, but I'd be surprised if it was that much.
Yeah.
Okay, so just garbage as well. Well, I don't generate a lot of garbage. I'm really careful, but I think my carbon footprint is pretty small compared to most Australians.
Yeah.
So.
Well, they're using three different methods. First, they're using fibrous sugar cane known as, I guess it's bagasse, BAGASSE. The residue of existing crops offer a lot of opportunity, it says, because we get very large-scale resources, and the material is often already located at a facility which is operating maybe a year round. The Australian Renewable Energy Agency has just invested $2.37 million in an advanced biofuel laboratory. And so the plant is scheduled to open next year. So that's the first one, sugarcane. The second category of waste to heat isn't so much about using heat as wasteland to create crops that can be converted into biofuels. These crops, they tend to be crops that don't have many other uses. One of them is something called agave, AGAVA, which has one very good use. It's used in Mexican tequila. It's a desert crop that grows in low rainfield conditions. University of Adelaide researchers found it's energy rich and can produce bioethanol at a rate that rivals existing bioethanol foodstocks, such as sugarcane. And the third category is making use of municipal and industrial waste, thus all the tires you see in the picture. They develop a means to produce around 3,000 liters of oil from a single 7-ton mining truck tire. 3,000 liters of oil. Of course, you're talking about a 7-ton mining. That's an awful big truck.
Yeah.
Huge.
Oh yeah, those mining trucks are like impressively giant. It's one of those. There's one of those things that I had an opportunity and end with somebody who worked for a mining company, and that would have been the job, is driving one of those monster trucks. Those trucks make monster trucks look like little Tonka toys.
Oh yeah.
But you also have to live out in the middle of nowhere with a bunch of grizzly miners. It's not...
Well, and you also have to deal with the fact that, I mean, there's strip mining. Anything that big, if it's used in mining, is probably used in strip mining or something like that.
Yeah, and I am not actually. I am not a big anti-opponent of that. Like, I don't know that I mind the digging in the dirt stuff. You know, I think that the downsides environmentally for like a massive mining operation, to me, has less to do with the removal or movement of dirt around, the destruction of the landscape when you dig a big hole, or when you tear out the side of a mountain, is to me about the same as if they put in a new suburb of 3 houses that they built over and over again. Like, to me, that's probably worse, because that's not going anywhere. Nature reclaims strip mines. The downs, or the thing to watch for, though, is like what they used to do in mining. When they used to do the hydraulic mining, they would also separate the gold from the ore using mercury, and that mercury runoff was the poison. So it's, I don't know. I don't think digging a really big hole somewhere is necessarily bad for nature. When you abandon that mine eventually, and nature takes it back over again, that'll just be fine. Although somebody will probably come up and say, like, oh no, you're missing all these other things that happen with the erosion and the plants and the soil. The bacteria doesn't regrow. In time it will. In time it'll all be fine. And actually, some of the most beautiful places I've seen were mines. There's the Malakoff Diggings up in Northern California, which actually does have some poison streams because of mercury, but it's gorgeous. They use these giant like water hoses to strip mine a really vast area. It's like they created their own little valley there. And one of the things that they weren't looking for, but is in abundance there, is quartz. There's lots and lots of quartz in the Northern California foothills. And so they use these giant hoses and just power stripped away the earth, created this big valley, took out rocks and ore and gold. But what they left behind was quartz. So my vision of this place to this day, and I haven't been for years, was this landscape of quartz and white rock that just went off forever. It was quite gorgeous, actually. The downside to it, to me, wasn't this mark upon the earth that they'd made, but was the fact that we used to catch a lot of 4-legged frogs there, and it's likely because of the mercury that was used to separate the gold from the ore that ended up in the soil.
Pamela, did a lot of mining in Australia. I know at one time Australia had the largest diamond mine in the world. And so what Justin was talking about, if you're talking about extracting diamonds, some sort of precious metal, and once you're finished, and I know some of these projects do that, then you go and fill it in, you put trees on it, etc. So I don't know, Australia. Pamela, have you visited any of the Australian diamond mines, perhaps?
No, I didn't know we had diamond mines. We have opal mines and gold and
Gold.
yeah. And
That's right. You have that underground city.
Kipapiti. Yeah.
Yeah.
Everyone. Yeah. Well, you can live above ground, but you've got to have air conditioning. If you live underground, it's 26 degrees Celsius all the time, so it's good. That's all opals and everything. Yeah, but I don't think we should be mining for things that, I mean, diamonds are used in medicine. So, like for medical equipment and stuff. And you can get diamond cutters and things like that. But I don't think we should be mining for things that are purely just for prettiness. I mean, gold you use in teeth and in stuff like that. That's all dental stuff. So I don't think we should be mining for jewelry. But mining for stuff that's actually useful is fine, in my personal opinion, as long as the environmental factors are taken care of. But it's not just environmental issues here. Don't even get me started, but the politics of mining in Australia is the major problem. The money goes to people who are not legally entitled to it, and government, we don't even own our mines. The government sold off the mines, so they're privately owned, so the money's not even going back to the people. The land has still been, taken by the Queen because there was no treaty with the Indigenous people of Australia. So the mining here is just rubbish. And I think they'll rectify the legal stuff after they've pillaged it all. Yeah. And there's nothing in Australia that will end up a third world country because they'll take everything good out of it. We sell everything off. We sell the sand in the desert. Seriously, we sold the sand in the desert to Hawaii. If you go into the desert now, you can actually see where the sand dunes are missing. I've done that.
All right. So you don't mind the big holes in the ground?
Yeah, no, I do mind. Yeah, but Justin's talking, but he's muted. Yeah. Was he talking to us?
I was. I was like, that seems like an option.
I took a break. I sat on the potty, and as I always do when I'm having my potty break, I was thinking about all this brilliant stuff. I come here, whoosh, it's gone.
Been flushed.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
That was the thing. It seems like an awful long way to carry sand from Australia to Hawaii. It seems like you could just dredge it off the ocean floor or something. I don't know.
Well, it's the red. Yeah, the red. Actually, I've got some here. I'll do a show and tell. But don't tell anyone that I have sand here from the National Desert. Well, I didn't take it. My ex-husband took it, and then
he's a criminal.
Yeah. I was holding the baby. She was only 3 months old at the time, so it wasn't me. He grabbed it and then he left it all here, and I found it in amongst his stuff. So I've vac sealed it because it gets in everywhere. So that's the red sand, and we shipped heaps of it over to Hawaii. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. It's really fine. So serious. So I had, because I'm asthmatic, so I had my Ventolin puffer with the lid on it inside my vest pocket that was zipped up, and my vest was inside the tent, which was zipped up, and I went to take my Ventolin, and I got a mouthful of sand.
Oh, good.
That's how fine. Yeah, that's how fine it is. It was just goes through everything. So he took his very good camera out there, and I think he's still cleaning the camera, and that was like 2.5 years ago. Anyway, so it's very special sand. If I ever go back out there, I'll take the sand with me and dump it. Give it back.
You can make a lot of money with sand. Golf courses. I think the sand in the golf courses, I don't know where they import it from. You can make big bucks out of it. So if the Saudi Arabians run out of oil, they got plenty of sand.
All right, I'll be right back.
Okay.
Well, I think that sand is probably too fine. It will just blow away and wash away. Well, the sand that we have here in cans is the grainy stuff.
Yeah, there are probably. I mean, if you live in a desert country, probably there are many varieties of sand. And I just think of sand is sand. It's the same stuff. You throw it up in the air or whatever. But it isn't. There's really a tremendous variety, different kinds of sand.
Well, the sand that's in the desert in Australia is from that used to be ocean. So that's the ocean floor. That's completely different to the ocean floor that we have now, because it's all, the topography has changed over millions and millions of years. Because there's a lot, I think they've probably all been mostly taken now, but lots of dinosaur bones out that way as well. You've got the museum there with all the dinosaur bones. So from a long time ago, that's very old sand. Sand, yeah.
Are you with the birds again? Hear what's that?
Yeah, next week I'll be at another house sit with just one dog. That's it. But we're here with 2 dogs and 2 birds at the moment.
Oh, all right. Chelsey loves animals, right?
Yeah. So moving next week to another house sit. Just still within Cairns though, but we'll be at another place up the beaches.
All right, Justin, go on. I got a quick little story here. It is about evolution and how a fish has evolved to live in incredibly toxic water. And there's still some people that don't believe in this evolution business, but let my screen share.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Okay, this is our friend in New York. There he is. There's the Atlantic killfish. And the Atlantic killfish is a slippery sliver of silver. Say that 3 times quickly. But the size of a fat finger and as common as a minnow. Starting in the 1990s, they were aware that the fish was tolerant to toxic water. And this was at the Lower Passaic Superfund site. Pretty toxic water there. The new study found that over just a few decades, distinct populations of killfish independently developed similar genetic adaptations that make life possible in the most unlikely environments. It's these shared changes, as well as the unique pattern of changes in these different populations, that provides us with a really useful field example of how animals can respond to rapidly changing and extreme environments. And they compared the whole genomes of 384 killfish from various areas and nearby less polluted waters. They found that in all regions, one particular genetic pathway was the source of the pollution tolerance, although slightly different patterns of genetic changes are responsible in each population. Normally, toxic chemicals like dioxins and some kind of biofuels, PCBs, set off a number of changes inside in sensitive fish, that infer not just where the survival of adults, but also with the development of their embryos. But in the tolerated fish, the trigger for these changes is turned off. And that's an important thing to know, exactly where these genes get expressed or not expressed. The mutation occurred rather quickly. The speedy evolution was made possible, the researchers think, by the huge and genetically diverse killfish populations that may have harbored a rare mutation. Whenever you have large population size, then there's a chance some might actually carry mutations in their genomes that are advantageous to normal novel environments. And that's how evolution works. And if you don't have this lucky mutation, you just don't make it. Those that did, and so became the pollution-tolerant Atlantic killfish. But in smaller populations with less diversity, the chances that a rare mutation like this already exists is slim. And there's another big thing, diversity. The study adds to the body of literature suggesting that preserving genetic diversity within species might be important for buffering them against global warming change. That's pretty neat. You got a fish that can survive in the most toxic worlds on the planet.
I just had to mute because Chelsea's being noisy. But I got this yesterday. Speaking of fish, I got this chart yesterday of the fish in the Great Barrier Reef. So there's lots of different. That's not even all of them. This is just one of the charts. So there's a lot of different fish in the reef.
Oh yeah, our ocean environment is changing. That's an aspect of climate change. Is you try to slow it down, can't stop it, but you got to adapt to it. So I remember reading about how in Maine, there was the Maine lobsters were dying off in areas, but they were being replaced by a different kind of fish. So, so if you're a fisherman, what you got to do, you got to adapt.
Switch bait. Yeah.
Switch bait, exactly. And that's going to be the key. If you got all those jellies. I know in Japan, off the waters of Japan, you got those 600-pound jellyfish, and they're invading and taking over waters. Well, you just, you work with what you got. Okay, I found a Science Island kind of a related story here. Now, I haven't talked about Science Island in a while. Different places where, some potential. And here's one, and I'm going to post a link for you, Justin. Then I'm going to screen share. Scotland. An island in Scotland.
I'm ready. I'm already packed.
It really, outside of a couple of minor details, it looks freaking perfect. There you go. 760 acres. It's got a schoolhouse, 9 traditional colleges. Okay. Got a question.
Cottages, not colleges.
Oh, I'm sorry, cottages. Well, we'll make them into colleges.
Yeah, we will. They will be once we're there.
That is so cheap. Like, I know it's freezing cold there, but they've got the internet. It'd be right.
That's an entire island.
Not on the island. They don't have the internet. You've got satellite. Got download.
Got electricity. Got wind turbines.
We couldn't be doing this right
now. I mean, that's perfect.
No,
you don't have to worry.
Upload speed.
1.6 miles. It's an island. We're separate from one another. Spectacular views. You got wind energy, 24-hour electricity.
Okay. Here's the thing. The Scottish people are hardy people. They live in bogs. They live in highlands, lowlands. They've all got all kinds of lands that they live in. Even the Scottish refuse to live on this forsaken island. There's got to be there's a reason.
It's cold. That'll be the reason.
No, that doesn't. The Scottish don't mind the cold.
They have a great feature. They're advertising sheltered windswept paths.
There's a few paths you can walk down that.
Well, there's no work.
You got a stamp. Come on.
There's no work there. That's why they don't live there.
Yeah.
But if Science Island is going to be self-sufficient and we're working on the island, we don't have to worry about that.
Yeah, that would be nice. Like there, this is sort of this sort of place though. I mean, and you're dead on, spot on there, Ed. This is the sort of place a Science Island would have to sort of incubate itself. It would have to be. I mean, that's literally an island. I've actually never envisioned it as an actual island. But it would have to be something. That remote or a different concept than we've traditionally talked about, where you've got all this land that you can sort of become a farmer on and then slowly, ruin it by developing it into other things. But another thing and it was really the trip to Baltimore that opened my eyes on this, because the neighborhood we were staying with Patrick in Baltimore was, densely urban, Everything was at least 3 stories everywhere you went. I looked at the real estate prices and they were ridiculously low. And I was like, and we went to some music venue that was the bottom floor. Somebody lives on the top 2 floors, but the bottom floor, they just put a stage there and it's a nice little venue and they invite people over and they put on musical events. That was so cool. And also like, wow, look at how much you can do just with a whole building to yourself, right? Like that's pretty cool. Like there's an urban version of Science Island, even, which is a really large building or number of buildings that are, can house enough people to run the thing. And then you get into like, okay, well, how do you like be self-sustainable in an urban setting? Well, you'd have to have a rooftop greenhouse, and you'd have to, so there's also other ways that Science Island can come about other than being completely remote. And I think one of the things that like we would want it to be is that sort of teaching tool, right? Which means you want people to be able to see it. You want it to be an example of how to build without destroying. And it almost requires, the more and more we've talked about, like if you love nature, stay the heck away from it. You'd almost need to convert a really urbanized area into something that could be self-sustainable. I mean, can you imagine like a 4-story sprawling apartment complex that actually produced the food for the people that lived in it? Like that would be like such a crazy concept, although it would be nice to have like, oceans protect us. At the same time. But there, and like there was something you brought to a series of posts you were doing. One was the fish atrium or whatever it was. It was like fish with like lettuce growing on top of the little fish bank or fishery thing it was. And then some of the other were the vertical hydroponics. There's things you can do in an urban setting that you just don't really see being done. And I wonder if it's just because it's actually, in the end, this experiment's been run enough times that it's been found there's no way to sustain yourself on an urban acre, right? Or is it that there isn't a commune of people who didn't buy the farm on the outskirts of town, but actually did try to convert a large building into something that could be a sustainable enterprise.
Okay, so that's brought up 2 avenues for me. Yeah, okay, Peppa Pig, yeah. So why don't we do Biosphere 3? You know what I'm talking about with Biosphere 2, right?
Yeah.
So isn't that kind of like a science island?
Yeah, no, that's a great example. Yeah. In
Arizona. And 2, as you noticed on my post on Facebook, I've recently got into the show Arrow, right? So there are a lot of uninhabited islands in like East China Sea, and Japan own them, and no one cares and no one lives there. We don't have to buy them. We can just go there.
Take it over. Just go get it.
Yeah. Well, no one's there.
Yeah.
They're uninhabited.
Again, probably for good reason. But
yeah, we don't have to be there full time. We can just go
actually,
there.
Justin brought up an important point. You're looking at a place. Maybe we can put our community here. Nobody wants to live there. Let's figure out why nobody wants to live there in the first place.
Yeah, I mean, I reckon it's going to be pretty darn cold in winter. So we could just go there in summer. Like, is there any reason that Science Island has to be a 24/7 forever place? Maybe it could be a summer holiday camp. I'm sure those islands would be.
Now we're talking about a timeshare. Pamela's got a new side gig selling timeshares.
Yeah, I'm sure they'd be fine in the summer. Be all right.
Well, what I was looking at was these 3-story buildings that were going for like $60,000, $80,000 in Baltimore. I'm like, how is that you know, I mean, the economy in that town may be, you know, it might be terrible and might be tough to make a living there. But it got me thinking sort of more along the lines of, like, what if we had a big warehouse? Okay, then there's this warehouse fire in Oakland that was like this artist community warehouse thing. And it's like, okay, so we'll put sprinklers in. No matter what happens, that goes in there. Right? Like, I mean, safety first, people. But is there an opportunity to do something in the middle of an urban area, as opposed to a faraway island where we're going to be doing two things? First of all, we're going to have a huge carbon footprint and moving even the simplest building materials out there, right? We're going to be not just driving it there. It's going to be on boats. It's going to be helicopter. It's going to, you know, it's going to be ridiculous getting material there just to do the building to make it self-sustainable. And then you got to look backwards at the carbon footprint and go, wow, if I actually just bought a house in the suburbs and ran the air conditioner and the heater full time, I would have had less of an impact, right? Like, how is that sustainable? The other part of it too is if we want it to be something that is not creating not just a carbon footprint, but an ecological footprint, how much terraforming do you do on a piece of what you consider empty land where you're actually displacing everything that was living there, right? And I think the solution to it is a big building where they've already killed everything, right, that had lived there, and create a new environment out of it.
Don't forget, every time us humans build a home, whole bunches of critters move in. They're different kind of critters, but a whole bunches of critters move in. We've got more raccoons. I mean, I got a whole bunch of insects, creeper crawlies all over the place, but we've got a dumpster. We've got raccoons that hit the dumpster. We probably got more raccoons, possum, the coyote, the deer. And I live in an area that's like 15 minutes away from a super highway. And it's an urban area. We got a little farm over here, got lots of trees, but basically, as long as there's, you know, we humans, we have this garbage. They love us. They love us because we put out the garbage. Oh, look at all the nice humans. Look at all the food they're giving to us. So.
Yeah, and I think, you know, I think there's even if it was out on this island, I think we could sort of figure out a way to manage what life was there, right? If it's a priority, you can do something about it. You know,
if it's somewhere really cold, then they won't have big ass cockroaches, because that's the only thing I hate about the tropics. We have big ass cockroaches. Like, we actually, I mean, I spray to the point where I'm surprised I don't have green skin, so I don't have them inside, but most people do. But I know tourists who take photographs of our cockroaches because they're really big, because they like the hiding. So if we go somewhere nice and cold, we're not going to have the cockroaches, and I'll be happy. Also, the snakes. I mean, we sleep in netting, because when I was pregnant, I had nightmares that I woke up to a snake wrapped around my baby. So we still sleep in netting to make sure that, because we have snake, you know, they come in the house, but at least they don't come in the bed, which is good. So because I have the netting, so I don't have to worry about them in really cold climates either.
Cuddle me.
Yes.
Or on an island.
Look.
Snake free on an island.
I want
Or in a three-story building. I understand snakes have difficulty climbing stairs. Or I would assume. Maybe they don't. Maybe I'm totally wrong.
No, they come in through the roof. They like roofs.
Hi.
Oh, they get up on the roof?
Yeah, that's the thing. I don't press the keyboard. I have a rooftop balcony at my house, and got to check the hammock upstairs to make sure there's not a snake in it before you lay down. That's right. You just pull it
That's
out.
interesting, because well, I lived in an apartment in a town, so cockroaches are, you know, you know, there's cockroaches in your apartment. That's just the way it goes. I mean, if you're cleaner, you get fewer than your neighbor, but cockroaches are just a fact of life. Now, I would say protein. Just find out a way of maybe baking them and turning them into protein. Then you're recycling. Now, you, Pamela, on the other hand, in Australia, you got critters that can kill you. You got the huntsman spiders about that big. You got the blue octopus or whatever heck it is, can kill you in 6 seconds. And you're worried about cockroaches?
Pshaw. Yeah.
I'm not worried about them. I'm just saying it'd be nice to not have them. But
I want to have some more.
yes, darling, you can have some more. Oh God, spiders aren't a problem. It's just part of life. They only bother tourists, really. Do you want this?
I want to have some more.
You want something I don't have any more of, and we have to wait till tomorrow to buy more. Of course you do.
And one of the things I personally would want to live somewhere near a college, perhaps like UC Davis or something like that, as opposed to out in the wilderness. Because now I want to live near culture. I mean, I like the idea of living separate, but I want to be able to experience culture at the same time. And something you talked about, Justin, is you can have little cabins or something like that. Let people stay on them and that sort of thing. But I want to live near culture. If you don't live near culture, the people, they're going to get bored after a while, I think. So I'd really want to live near a town. And I wouldn't be opposed to living in a city. There'd be different challenges. The largest factory in the world, lettuce factory in the world, that one in China, it's a factory. It's a big building, and they just use that, is it aquaponics to, different layers. So you can grow food. I just don't know what it's going to cost you to do it.
Yeah, and I totally agree with that. Like, I think the benefits to living near a larger metropolitan area, but I agree, a college town or city, or have one within short driving distance is really important, because this is also, it's sort of fresh blood to the community. You want to have this cultural exchange stuff going on. You want to be able to leave and go see an art show, right? And it's not just it's not just internal, like we're all making the same stuff and feeding off of that. But so yeah, I think it is important to be not that cut off from society. I think being on an actual island in a dreadful part of Scotland would probably be dreadful. Really. Yeah. I think I'd much rather be in that big warehouse building in Oakland when it's not on fire, or a large building in Baltimore, and take over a small ghost town in the Sierras, even than be that far removed from striking distance, at least, to society at large. And I think part of the whole, the concept of the Science Island idea too is that you reinvent some basic aspects of living on the planet, and in your personal habitat, and your the sustainable aspects of it, anything from water collection to different ways of heating and cooling, and you share it, you show it off, it's sort of like a teaching experiment where people can walk through and go, oh wow, so why is there this big wall of tires on the backside, on the north side of the greenhouse? Oh, it's because in the night when the temperature drops, the heat releases from those things, from the thermal energy that it collected all day, and it keeps the greenhouse warm. Seeing that as an example functioning in the world, I think is important. And I think there might be a news crew that comes out once a decade to check out the Scottish Island wackos. But I think it would be much more productive to have it something that the nearby communities can visit and check out.
Yeah, you just remind me, we went to the Green School in Ubud in Bali last year. Yeah. And it's completely self-sustaining. So, you know, they've got the separate toilets. What I have to ask them, because I never asked them at the time, but you've got toilet for pee and toilet for poo. And I kind of thought, well, what do you do if you sort of go to one and then you decide to do the other? Yeah. Yeah, it's usually a little, you know, not usually. So I'm not sure how they work that, but they grow their own food.
You've got to know in advance.
Yeah.
You have to know in advance. That's rough. It's too much pressure.
But that's tropical, so you don't have to worry about energy for heating or anything like that. And it's all open, so you don't have to worry about air conditioning because it's all bamboo, open buildings and things like that. So it's pretty cool. Plus, they don't sleep there. So, yeah. But they do have a kitchen and everything like that. So there's a lot we can learn from that. And the community, like you can go and do a tour. And so it's all part of the community. It's not completely closed off. So, yeah, I'd be open to something like that. Yeah, I don't like the cold. But I'm just looking at cheap and free places, that's all. And the free places are cold.
And if you're talking about sustainability, it isn't just the environment. Because you have plenty of the indigenous people living all over. You know, they live in a self-sustaining environment and have hundreds and hundreds of years. But I'm not an indigenous. I don't want to live out in the desert and eat lizards. Nothing wrong with it if that's what you like.
A minute ago, you were ready to eat cockroaches. Ed, you were ready to eat a cockroach. And now you want to eat a lizard? Come on. Why so picky?
Okay, you put a little hot sauce on it, I'll eat anything. So I'm really not that picky when it comes to food. But sustainability also means the community, and to me, the young people. I mean, a couple of weeks ago, it was a community in Northern California somewhere. And you've got people that have been living there 1960s, I forget, 50 years, something like that. But it's all old people. You know, the young people moved away. So, I mean, you don't build Science Island for Pamela Taylor. You build Science Island for Pamela Taylor and Chelsey. So it's got to be self-sustaining in terms of young people. It means you must be able to be willing to change. And then you do need, for instance, Pamela, you want to be a lawyer. You want to be an activist. So you want to live someplace, but, you know, I would guess you also maybe also want to practice law, you know, or maybe, you know, protest or whatever the heck it is. I like that sort of stuff myself.
I like doing that kind of stuff. I just do it, you know, because I have to. Otherwise, people die. But yeah, it's not something that I actually, you know, go, hey, what can I protest this week?
Yeah, well, no, but I mean, I think Ed's point is
so you just want to be a blood-sucking lawyer and make all the big bucks, right?
Yes.
No.
That's my dream for her, not hers for herself. But this is I think Ed's point was, though, that, like, you know, being able to be involved in law and being active and connected to the world is a thing that you would need to be doing, and it's going to be hard to do that on a remote desert island or in a high desert plateau. And you know, we have the interwebs and the things, but I think everybody always discounts what an upload speed is all about. But again, we could not do this with an out and upload speed. If you get rural, I've lived with the satellite before. It's you can stream your Netflix, but it takes like an hour to send an email. Like, it's not same thing as just internet everywhere. So it's hard to stay that connected if you're a little too rural.
Well, actually, one of the first things might be our own access to the internet. And I don't know how you do that. I don't know if you have to pay for it or whatever it takes. But right now, for instance, I'm in an apartment building, and Comcast. 2 or 3 times a week, I'm sitting here talking to you guys. Boom, connection gone. That's happened like twice a week for the last 2 or 3 weeks. I'm paying $84 a month for high-speed internet. It is great. 175 MIPS or whatever the heck it is when it works. But all it takes is, boom, one little connection. Boom, I got nothing. So,
well, okay, so here's what the Science Island internet would be. It would be probably, you know, $180 a month. I don't know, because we'd have to pay for running the cables out to wherever the hell we are. But what we would likely have is the exact same interruptions that you have now, with one exception, which is you could hardwire the community to be always on high connectivity. So we could always do a Hangout in better real time, faster Ethernet type thing than we're doing now, right? But it's connecting to some point beyond where you have to get to some other junction where the internet is connecting other internets too. It's always going to be a hassle. And then the wind blows and the tree falls down and nobody has internet for a week. Like, this is still going to be the thing. Like that,
actually, it wouldn't be a problem. All we do is steal it. We steal it, and now we got a lawyer. We got Pamela to defend us in court. No problem.
Put it in a box. Take that box, put it under a shirt, and just walk out with it. Yeah, and then we'll be Pamela's chief clients from there on out.
Yeah, no, well,
Gotta have whatever else we have on the island, we got to have a lawyer.
Yeah. I'm not at all. I was going to say I'm not at all worried about not having work since I finished my. I mean, I'm not even qualified yet. I still have to do my practical hours, but since I finished the academic, university stuff, I have people all the time. Oh, have you finished yet? Because I need this. No, I'm not qualified yet. You have to go elsewhere. I've only done part of it, but yeah, people need lawyers.
Pamela, in Australia, do you guys have the wigs in the court and the whole thing like in Britain?
Yep.
That's a great question. I didn't realize that.
Wigs and robes. Yeah.
Oh,
no, it's good because, I can just roll out of bed and go to work. I don't have to even brush my hair or I can wear my pajamas under the robes. No one's going to know. Stick a wig on. Don't have to wear makeup or anything. Don't even have to brush my teeth really because you stand far enough away from the judge. They can't smell your breath. So I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be the best job. I just roll out of bed and go to work. I'm not even going to.
Whenever I see one of these British magistrate court things, I'm just going to say, oh my God, everybody's in their pajamas or naked and nobody brushed their teeth. And nobody did their hair because why bother? Oh, that's fucking.
I don't know if that's what other people do, but that's what I'm going to do. That's something I'm looking forward to. They were talking about saying that it's really old-fashioned and we should get rid of the robes and wigs, and I'm like, no! That's why I joined up. That's why I signed up for this.
That is a benefit. Yeah.
I know. That means I got to do the whole, pretty little suits and brush my hair and no.
Who's got time for all that?
I know. I like
the Monty Python routine, and I know it's in movies where you have the judge and he's very official and he presides and he, death sentence or whatever, and he goes to his room, takes off his robe, and he's wearing pantyhose and.
Oh yeah, it's gonna be great. Yeah, because when I was nursing full time, I got in trouble all the time for wearing mismatched socks, and my response was, if that's the worst thing you can complain about, then I must be a really good nurse.
Who's going to complain about you're fixing somebody else to get a blood transfusion? You want to keep their heart going, and they're worried about your socks?
No, the patients didn't care. Other nurses, it's women, man, they're bitches. Like I love my job. No, it's true. I love my job as a nurse. Love my patients, but females, it's just too many females. We need more male nurses to balance it out, because when you put in all those females together, they're just bitches. It's probably better now because there are more men. That was 10 years ago. That was more than 10 years ago. Yeah, I'm old. But that's something that I just, because I'm not good with females. I know I am one technically, but yeah. That's another story.
Okay. So the new vision I think we're coming away with for Science Island is we get a really large warehouse and we put a bunch of yurts within the warehouse. Right? And we transform the indoors into a makeshift biosphere. We try to grow everything inside. We use the roof to collect water. We use that water on our hydroponics. And yeah, that'd be pretty cool. And we put it someplace. It would be like totally stealthy too, right? Like there'd be nondescript. Nobody know what goes on. And I see people go in and out of that building all the time, but I don't know what it's there for. We'd come up with some we'd have to come up with some sort of name for the thing, like, you know.
So we can
sign on the outside that makes no sense.
We can have like a secret password to get in and stuff.
Well, with the little slidey door with somebody looking through.
Yeah.
By the way, the password is swordfish. It's
swordfish. Okay, we can do that.
Yeah, that's exactly what I saw. It was a guy in Oakland, him and his partner, his female partner, and there was like an abandoned plot of land or something and had fences around it. They went inside and they saw a couple of buildings. And said, hey, why don't we build here? And nobody bothers them. Well, maybe they do now when they find out about it. But he said, there are a lot of people who have moved in Europe, that tradition of what do they call it? Moving into houses, just taking them over.
Yeah. That's illegal.
Well, but it's only semi-illegal. Like you actually in California, I think if you've been squatting for 30 days, they have to give you 30 days notice to leave. It's some sort of ridiculous like squatters' rights law that's on the books, but no local law enforcement ever allows you to get away with it. Apparently, they still arrest you. Right,
so I mean, you could say that you're providing home security for free.
Yeah, I mean, at least somebody's flushing the toilets and looking out for any broken windows or leaks in the roof, right?
Well, that's what I do as a house sitter, and mine's perfectly legal. People actually ask me.
Squatting? I'm house sitting.
Sometimes people pay me. They're like, "How much do you charge?" I'm like, "No, I don't usually charge anything, but sometimes they give me money." All right.
It's all good. So now we're looking for a large warehouse.
Yeah.
Okay. We'll adjust the settings on my Silence Island detector.
Large warehouse. All right. This is feeling more and more like Arrow. I've been watching Arrow. Yeah. We could run a nightclub.
Part of it is no. But part of it is like then the concept is also like a deep space ship. Like right? Like what are the minimum requirements to keep people in somewhat close proximity for a long period of time? Of course, we get to leave. We're not stuck on the ship, but like a biosphere, like a sort of like what's some elements of the first Martian colony will play out with having to we've built this big structure. We'll pretend it's the radiation dome or whatever, but everybody's got to manage everything within the radiation dome in terms of getting food made, sharing space with people, all that sort of stuff in an indoor setting. That'd be pretty interesting. New dynamics. I'll be right back.
Okay. I've got one of my groups on Facebook has to do with TV shows. This is it's a Russian reality TV show. And let me put it in the links. I think it's legit, but and I will come on. Amazon keeps wanting to sell me The Man in the High Castle.
That's a good show. This looks a bit scary just by the link. Goodness.
Come on. Okay. 50% says it's not true, but it sounds like it might be. And if it's going to be the winter, game number 2. They're going to strand 30 contestants in minus 40 Celsius Siberian wilderness for 9 months, and the surviving winner gets 1.6 million. Supposedly, this will be streamed 24/7. Now, the contestants have to sign a waiver acknowledging that they might be raped or killed. But the rules also state the police are free to arrest anyone who commits a crime. What? 2,000 cameras allowing anything, fighting, alcohol, murder, rape, smoking.
Yeah, no, we won't be allowing those things on Science Island.
Although I don't believe this is legit, and you couldn't have something like this in the United States, Australia, most quote-unquote civilized countries, but it would not surprise me that something like this would be on the underground TV. One aspect of the internet. Could you imagine science? Well, you got to win you can win 1.6 million if you're the survivor.
I don't think it's worth it.
Oh, obviously not. But anyway, that's
money.
No. What is it?
I'm chatting away. Yeah, no, I'm not going to sub you. Yeah, no, we need a warehouse in a nice environment.
I don't care what it is. Even the I can live anywhere. I mean, you put me in a 400 square foot room, with a couch bed or whatever, or I can live anywhere. My needs are extremely small, but I'm an old retired guy.
Have you got your hammock yet?
No.
You should get your hammock. Trust me, I wouldn't go back. I can't sleep in anything now. Hammock's the way.
When I get my next bed, yes, I will try a hammock. But
yep. Best thing ever. I'm never going back.
The best.
I don't want to spend what money it does take to get it and then find out I'm not going to use it or I'm not going to like it. Unless, as I say, I've already got a bed. 40 years old, I've got a bed. When I reach the point where I finally say I want a new one, okay, then I'll go to the hammock. But I'm not going to have both. But it really, when you think about it, it must be pretty good well, I have back problems. That would be a question. And I've tended to go for harder beds because I have back problems. I've got that, that bendy back thing, same thing you talked about, Abby. So would a hammock help with back problems?
Yeah. Yeah, I feel fantastic. I was born with scoliosis, and yeah, people think, oh, you've got a curved back in the hammock, but you don't. You lie diagonally, so you're lying flat, but there's no, there's no pressure. There's no pressure points. So it's just, I wake up in the same position that I went to sleep because you don't have to toss and turn to keep the blood flowing because there's no pressure, and because you're not tossing and turning, you get a better quality sleep as well. I've been in a hammock for the last few months. It's the best sleep I've had in my life, and same with Chelsey. So Yeah.
I've been ignoring the chat room, but I got our friend UXFI who says Pamela could defend us from Putin, the Russian.
I
infect
can.
deal.
What
They
was
got a lot of confidence in you, Pamela.
Okay. Okay, I'll do it. I'll take him on. Take him out to Siberia and practice archery on him or something, I guess.
Wait,
Yeah.
you're not talking about me, are you?
No, yeah, not you. So we were talking about hammocks, though. But apparently someone who's watching thinks that I'm going to defend you against Putin.
And the oil companies.
And the oil companies. I think they've been drinking.
No.
No,
It'll be.
maybe they picked the lawyer. See, I was still stuck on the arrow thing. I'm thinking, I'm not that good a shot yet. Maybe they mean as a lawyer. Yeah,
You know what,
I'll give that a
Pamela?
go.
You show up at the White House before the 20th, I guarantee you'll get a job in our government. I absolutely guarantee you'll get a job in our government.
But I'm a foreigner.
Who cares? You're a hot chick, right? Our friend, who shall not be named, is going to say, hey, hot chick. Oh, let me find a job for her.
I'm too old. He wouldn't go for me.
Like they're like, oh, we have to fill all these roles. Like we didn't expect to win, let alone.
Yeah, I'll get some
No,
Botox.
it's scary times. It's
And I'd need a boob job. He wouldn't hire me. I'm too flat and saggy.
You're chocolate.
2 years and 8 months of breastfeeding, it does that. Not complaining. I'm just saying I don't think Trump would go for me.
Can I put it
But
back
thanks for your
on?
confidence. Yeah. Yes, I can put it back on. Yes, here we go. I'm dressing dolls at the moment. Yes,
Jason Jones?
I'm dressing dolls. Yeah. So, Justin, you missed the part about the
Are you
reality
dressing
show in
dolls?
Siberia.
Are you Jason Jones?
For $1.6 million, you can just go out in Siberia, and I think it's like last man stand or woman standing wins, and you've got to sign a consent form to say you might be maimed or murdered and raped and
I
stuff.
can reach.
It all
Yeah.
sounds a bit funky.
I mean, I put the link in the
Typical.
show area. That's actually, it says it's a TV show in Russia.
wow,
Yeah,
that's crazy.
Wow.
$1.6 million is not enough money.
How do you watch your television, Pamela? So you said you like the Arrow. Do you just have an iPhone and a tablet?
I'm talking to you on a Chromebook right now. That's what I do most things on. Well, I did have an iPad, but Chelsey has that now.
Okay.
Yeah, and I do have an iPhone, but no, I don't watch things on my little screen. It's too small.
Hi, we got the same case.
Have we? Are you serious? Which iPhone do you have? Do we have the same model? I've got a 5C.
No, I've got the 6.
Okay. That's so weird. That's so funny. Yeah, mine's pink. I got a pink phone. You can see the pink through the window. That is so funny. I did not know you had that case.
Of course not. Yeah, it's funny.
I know. And our daughters have the same pretend phones.
What's that? Pistols?
Yeah.
What's that? Your finger.
That's weird.
How immersed is Chelsey in her iPad? She got her iPad. Because, I mean, okay, so many parents have kids that I know. I watch a bunch of tech shows. They talk about their children. And they talk about, watching My Little Pony for 24 hours or something like that. How's Chelsey in terms of her viewing habits, if you will, on her iPad?
No.
What does she use it for?
Yeah, she watches stuff, but she doesn't sit there for hours at a time. No way. She'll watch like one or two little, those 5-minute, 7-minute, 12-minute shows that they have, and then she'll go and do something else. And I have to come and turn it off because she's streaming something and she's left the room, and so it's wasting, bandwidth and everything, and battery. But no, she's like I take it on the bus for her, but she'll only have it for half a bus trip, and then she doesn't want it anymore. She wants to do a jigsaw puzzle or something. So no, she's really good. And if she was one of those kids that, because I've got kids who are about the same age, and they sit there like this, staring at the screens. If she was like that, then I would have to restrict her or just take it off her altogether. But no, she's good. But she has she can do like games on the iPad where she likes real jigsaw puzzles, which we have an abundance of, but they're a pain. And now I know why my mother hated jigsaw puzzles, because when you're little, the pieces go missing all the time, and then they chuck a tantrum when you can't find the pieces and there's a piece missing. And I remember, like, when you become a parent yourself, you remember all the things your parents did. It's like, yeah, I'm sorry, Mom. I understand now. Yeah, so the jigsaw puzzles on the iPad are much better because you can't lose the pieces.
I was thinking jigsaw puzzles are pretty easy. All you need is a pair of scissors. Can't fit it, just a little cup around the edges, put it in. No problem.
No, they are easy, but then the pieces go missing.
Funny.
Yeah, she thinks that's funny. You're funny.
Okay, what I notice, what I don't notice, I see kids outside, but the use of social media with young people, and I'm thinking mostly girls, but it could be young boys as well. It's a social element. That is, they go to school or something, they have friends, and then they're on the social media communicating with their friends. Snapchat seems to be the big thing now. And that's where I notice. Now, I don't know. Now, Chelsea's only what, 2.5?
Yeah, no, she's not on social media.
So.
No, definitely not. Yeah, she's 2 years, 8 months.
Justin, how about your kids? You've got children in different age brackets.
Mm-hmm.
In terms of using the social media.
My 10-year-old has a Facebook account, which is like, she's connected to me and her mother and her aunts and her great aunt. It's kind of it, and her grandmother. That's kind of it.
Yeah, I worry. You just remind me. I worry because I get my friends' kids wanting to friend me, but not everything I share is PG-13, and
right, yeah.
So I don't friend them, but they can still follow me and see my public posts. So I mean, it's up to their parents to tell them not to do that, but I do the right thing and I don't friend them. Like, I wouldn't friend your 10-year-old.
Yeah.
And I'm sure she's a lovely girl. It's not anything personal. But yeah, my stuff's not all PG-13.
Yeah.
I wouldn't friend Chelsey if she had one.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's the social media thing is weird, but it's like my 10-year-old does, like, she'll draw a picture and take a picture of it and post it. And that's kind of cool, because then I could be at work or whatever, and then it's like getting a text message with we're getting to see her artwork at school or whatever it is. So I dig it. I think that's cool. My youngest is 3.5. She's a big media consumer. She likes to put a show on sometimes, but her other favorite thing is just Googling animals. She likes it when, she'll like pick out an animal and we'll Google it, and there's all these pictures of that whatever animal it was that she wanted to see. And so she gets a kick out of that, and she's got a couple of favorite bands that every once in a while she wants me to put some music on, and a particular song, a particular music video, maybe even, right? Like, so this is, the whole having access to listen to is just normal to her. And it's really weird. Like, Netflix got rid of Daniel Tiger, I think is the one. And she like wanted to see Daniel Tiger. I'm like, that's not on here anymore. And she's like, didn't get that, like, it has to be available. Like, never mind, like, oh, that show you want to watch was on at 7 a.m. and it's now 2 p.m. and now it's not on TV. Like, that's what, we dealt with television. That was normal. It's like you had to be in the right place at the right time. She's actually absolutely used to the fact that she wants to see this show and actually that episode of that show, and let's bring it up right now. That's normal.
Chelsea's the same. So we have ABC Kids app, which is Australian Broadcasting Corporation, and so it has the kiddie shows on it. And so we only have a television when we're house sitting. But if we have, that's the only channel that comes on at all. And thankfully that the ABC Kids channel turns into adult content at 7:30, so I can watch Doctor Who because it's the same channel, so I don't have to change channel. Anyway, and where was I going with this? Oh yeah, so there'll be an episode on the TV, and it comes on the iPad available about 5 minutes after it's been on TV, but she wants it then and there. Like, yeah. But she's like, oh, well, I want it on my iPad now. Like, it's on the TV, that's great, but I want it on the iPad now, because she's used to not having a TV. So that's something that's a bit of a temper tantrum thing going on sometimes. Also, when we're out and about, I have the preloaded shows that I've bought through iTunes. So she has Peppa Pig, Bananas in Pajamas, The Wiggles, Peter Rabbit. I think that's all I bought. I'll have to buy some more. But anyway, I don't put the internet on when we're out and about. So it's just a Wi-Fi only iPad, and I don't stream it off my phone. So she's only got that. Only, when I say only, it's like 100 episodes, which is, more than I ever had as a kid. Yeah. Anyway, so yeah. And so if she wants to watch something that's not on the iPad, she understands now. I just say no internet. And she's like, no internet. And she'll watch something on the preloaded. And she knows how to work it and everything. But that took a while to teach her. And there were some tears.
Still the odd one is we'll be driving in the car, and I think it's Mondays. It is Monday mornings now. They rebroadcast This Week in Science on KDVS, but it moves around. Sometimes it's other days of the week, and then it's not a time we're normally like heading to the zoo or Fairy Tale Town or whatever. But every once in a while, like, we'll be in the car and start up the car, and it's on that thing, and then there's Papa talking on the radio. And that was like this whole thing, like, she's like, that's you. I'm like, yeah. She's like, how'd you get in there? Like, what are you doing? How are you a ventriloquist? You're making the car talk like it's you. Like, no, this is, and then now she's got it connected that this setup here with the microphone and the headphones is connected to when she's hearing Papa on the radio, but that it's been recorded, right? So it was like this whole, like, it's even weird for me, like, because I'm like groggy in the morning, I start the car and the radio comes on, and then it's like my voice coming at me and from the radio. It's like, like I'm talking to me. I'm like, what? My internal voice has suddenly been externalized, right? And also invariably, like, the last thing I've been doing was listening to music really loud in the car or whatever, had it cranked up, like they had something good on. And so it's also blasting. It's like blaring. Because, it's like when you go on a drive, you have the radio up and you drive for a while, and the radio goes up a little more, and you drive for a while, and the radio goes up a little more. And it's like constantly overcoming the deafness you've incurred from listening. And then first thing in the morning, when your senses are all back down to the base level, and you start the car, and bam, everything's super loud. That was a fun adjustment.
When you were saying about the music before, Chelsea's the same. She's got her favorite musicians and everything, but I tend to not let her watch the music clips because they're usually, like soft porn these days.
Oh, no.
Music's okay. Yeah.
So you should you got to Google Agent Ribbons, which was a local Sacramento band from a while ago, but they're it's just these two girls, and it's all like, I don't know, post-feminism or something, whatever they call it, but they're really good, and they're PG, and there's, it's nice too. It's like, because it's female singers and everything else, and it's so my daughters totally dig it.
Yeah.
So yeah, we go for they're listening to all female bands who aren't singing about lost boyfriends and such. Like it's not. There's definitely filtering going on with it, but you can still find really good music that's fun to listen to that way.
Oh yeah, I tend to not have. So she likes, princess rap battles. Well, she likes rap in general. You know the princess rap battles?
I don't. I'll have to find this.
Oh my goodness, Justin, you don't know princess rap battles?
How did I miss it? I don't know.
Where like Snow White versus Elsa.
No,
On the YouTubes. You go on the YouTubes.
That's fantastic. I've got to.
They're amazing.
The thing I'm doing this week.
My favorite one is Cinderella versus Beauty from Beauty and the Beast.
Wow.
Yeah. Oh, they're great, and it's all like girl power stuff. Because Elsa's like I'm savvy, strong, single, and so independent. And what's the other one? Beauty wins. Oh yeah. What's important is what's on the inside, not the size of your feet. Because she's battling Cinderella with the shoe and everything. And yeah, they're great. They're really good. But then she also Chelsey also likes Kesha.
Okay.
And that's good. Yeah. Yeah, and that's good because that's about partying all night and doing my own thing. It's not about boyfriends and stuff. But she can't watch those music clips because they're a bit
too much
naked.
J-rating. All right.
Yeah.
I gotta go. I'll see you guys next week. I'm looking at warehouses. California is expensive. 48,000 square foot building. Price not disclosed. All right. That would be nice. That was a good size building.
So is your heart set on the US?
Yes. This is where the revolution must take place. Where it's needed now more than ever.
Yeah, that's
but
true.
it's also I love California. Like I don't plan on ever leaving California. This is also a thing.
I would move to Portland tomorrow. Man, if I had the money.
Also, yeah.
But that's too expensive, I'm sure.
No, Portland is actually still
San
within
Francisco.
reason.
Love to move to San Francisco.
It was not within reason. San Francisco, they're actually like, there's this whole thing going on where they're like, we have to figure out how to keep people in San Francisco now. Like, because people are leaving in droves. It's like getting bought up, but it's crazy. All right, but I gotta go. I'll see y'all next week.
Thanks for showing up. See you next Wednesday and Thursday. Music. It's amazing how I can now control my music through Spotify. All the advances, and I'm thinking in terms of entertainment, etc. It's the ability for me to control. I can create my own sound list. It is freaking amazing. I can go onto YouTube. Just yesterday on YouTube, I got a video of Blondie singing at CBGB's in New York City. I forget the date. I was in CBGB's in New York City. This is like 40 years ago. Another concert today, like 60 years ago. I can't think of the guy's name right now. But any event, you can go on to YouTube. Some obscure singer you haven't heard of in 50 years. There's a video of it. It's incredible.
Yeah, I'm coming back. Oh, there we go. Yeah. No, I love it. I don't think I'm not sure if we have Spotify here. I think we were getting it. We probably do, and I haven't really looked into it. But I'll just put something on YouTube and just people have the playlists already made on YouTube, and I just use those playlists and listen to old stuff as well as new stuff. So I just posted on my Facebook a couple of Princess rap battles for Justin. How does he not? Do you know what I'm talking about, Ed?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, they're the best.
There's another one, and it is famous people reading tweets where writers have absolutely blasted them. You look like a stuck pig. And so the celebrity is reading these tweets where people are saying terrible things about them. It's funny.
Okay, I haven't seen that one. Yeah, there's lots of there's. I'm just trying to think what else. I get Chelsey to listen to it. So it's all, empowering, girl power stuff mostly. I don't let her listen to sappy crap.
You go back, I did this yesterday too. The music, the songs, 1950s or so. There was one, I think it was called Tell Him That You Always Want to Love Him. And ever since the world began, women were made for man or some stupid. You look at the music and the lyrics of the 1950s, and it gives you a pretty good picture of what that society was like.
I want more toast.
Okay, I'll make toast. That's fine. Yeah, no, I know the song you're talking about.
Wait a minute.
Wait a minute. Okay, off you go. Come on. I'm gonna make a toast. Yeah. What was it? Sorry. I'm totally distracted. Oh, she's funny. She's very independent. And now she's running away.
I'm gonna make toast.
I'm gonna make toast. Yeah.
I'm gonna make toast.
Can I hear her? She's so
I'm just jumping.
You're jumping now? Okay.
It's a big bad wolf.
It's a big bad wolf.
It's a chicken.
It's a chicken. Okay.
Chicken.
These are the random conversations we have. What else does she like? She likes some of the old stuff. But I'm only playing new stuff for her.
It's too hard.
It's too high? Yeah.
I'll never get it.
You'll never get it, no. I don't think you're going to be that much taller than me. A little bit.
Oh,
She said.
what?
But I was just looking something up then, and now I've lost what I was going to look up. I was going to share it with you, but the moment's gone. Oh, well.
Media, social media, it is what you make of it. I have a lot of older friends who think it's the worst thing that's ever been invented. And they think about people who are not using it properly. I have grandparents who think it's the greatest thing in the world. They're on Skype and they're actually able to talk to their grandchild who lives across the country. Like I say, I can go back and I can go onto YouTube's and listen to a radio show from the 1940s, or you can go online and you posted, I never heard of Savage Garden. And then you posted the video about affirmation. Terrific. That's the kind of thing I can go in and just, there it is. 30 years ago, we could talk about it, but couldn't show me them performing. I can see them performing live. When they were performing live, that's amazing.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I couldn't live without the internet now. I'm on Skype every day with different people around the world. Hello. You know how to use Skype. She knows how to use the iPad to talk to relatives and things like that. So, I have restrictions on it, so she can't get onto anything that I don't want her to get onto. But she knows how to use the apps that she uses. So, now I've got friends that I saw, and everyone does their own thing. And she went without a screen. Really, I didn't let her have any screen time at all until she was about 2. Because I saw a documentary a few years ago, I think when I was pregnant, about you're actually supposed to wait till they're 3, but try doing that in this day and age. I was trying to wait till she was 3. About it's not good for their brains because they can't process. So natural movement, like you and I just sitting here and talking, is fine. But switching between scenes and trying to piece that together with your brain is apparently really bad. So I got to 2. But then, I gave her the iPad and she picked it up. But then I've got friends who wrote, she's got an 8-year-old who wants an iPod Touch. And she's like, yeah, dream on, buddy. And I thought, really? Because Chelsea's got an iPad. And, the screen is cracked, but that's all right. it still works this time, you know, and it's really important for her development, I think, and her communication. It gives her autonomy.
It's a terrific educational tool. For me, for instance, I was looking for a knife sharpener. Go on to YouTube. How to use a good knife sharpener? Anything you can think of. That you can go onto YouTube and you can watch somebody doing it, whatever the heck it is. That's incredible.
It's funny. As I said, I'm getting back into archery after not having been into archery for 20, 25 years. And so I went on YouTube to have a look and see, because I used to have a compound bow, and I'll probably get a compound bow again. But I was looking to see what the differences were, you know, because there's several different types of bows. Anyway, maybe I shouldn't say this, but there's lots of videos on there about how to make your own. And I'm like, geez, is that legal? But I suppose it is. Like you can make them out of paper and stuff and full-on weapons, but anyway. And kebab skewers. Yeah, here's your toast. Yeah. So, and people were making, you know, like taking rubber band guns and putting arrows in them and making full-on weapons. So there's a lot of things on the internet that maybe shouldn't be there, but anyway. I'm going to have to go and feed these dogs in a minute after I finish buttering her toast. Okay. So I'll probably have to head off. All
right. Well, great show tonight. Really love talking to you and Justin tonight.
Yeah, it's always good to talk to you. All right, so now we're looking for a warehouse. That's changed again.
Justin.
In Baltimore.
Justin is exactly the right person to start a science island, but then he needs me and you to be there and say, okay, you've got the warehouse now, you know, here's what we're going to, or, you know, Ulysses Aikens or somebody like that to actually take care of the practical side of doing it. I mean, and Justin will do it, I'm sure. He loves to do stuff, creative stuff, but, you know, he needs a little bit of guidance and a little bit of sticking to a project. But he's incredibly creative.
He's always said he's the ideas guy.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
That's about it. So, well, I might go and grab one of these islands in the East China Sea anyway, just because they're sitting there for the taking. And just stick a tent on it. I won't terraform it or anything and ruin it. Should be the chance. And I'll let you know how that goes if that ever happens. Yes, I've got to go and take care of these puppies.
Okay. I will see you next week then.
Next week, and I'll be in a new location.
New location. Traveling Pamela. I'll see you. Let me stop.